Imagine a world where one of the planet's greatest empires simply vanished. An empire that challenged the might of Egypt, that pioneered iron technology, and then, in the blink of historical time, was gone. Today, we're journeying back over 3,000 years to the rugged heartlands of ancient Anatolia, in what is now modern-day Turkey, to uncover the story of the Hittites, the empire that disappeared. Our story begins in a fortress city, a place of immense power and legendary strength, Hattusa. Picture this, nestled high in the mountains, a sprawling capital protected by kilometers of monumental stone walls, some 6 meters thick. These weren't just ordinary walls. They were an engineering marvel, dotted with towers, secret tunnels, and gates guarded by imposing stone lions and sphinx. This was the nerve center of a civilization that, at its peak around 1300 BC, controlled a vast territory stretching from the Aegean Sea all the way to the Euphrates River. They were a force to be reckoned with. So, who were these people? The Hittites were innovators. While their neighbors in Egypt and Mesopotamia were still masters of bronze, the Hittites were among the first to unlock the secrets of iron. This gave them a massive technological edge. Imagine Hittite warriors, armed with iron swords and daggers, clashing with bronze-clad armies. Their weapons were stronger, sharper, and more durable. They were also masters of chariot warfare. But these weren't the clumsy, heavy chariots of their rivals. Hittite chariots were lighter, faster, and carried a crew of 3, a driver, a warrior, and a shield-bearer. This made them a devastatingly effective mobile weapons platform, a kind of ancient tank that could smash through enemy lines with terrifying speed and force. But the Hittites weren't just fierce warriors. They were also brilliant diplomats and administrators. Their empire was a complex mosaic of vassal states and diverse peoples, all held together by a sophisticated system of laws and treaties. They were known for their pragmatism. Their legal codes, while strict, were often more humane than others of the time, favoring restitution over brutal corporal punishment for many crimes. They understood that an empire couldn't be held together by force alone. This brings us to one of the most famous events in ancient history, the Battle of Kadesh, fought around 1274 BC. On one side, the ambitious young pharaoh of Egypt, Rameses the Great. On the other, the Hittite king Mu'attali II. Rameses, eager to expand his empire, marched his army north into Hittite territory. What followed was a colossal clash of titans. Tens of thousands of soldiers and thousands of chariots collided on the plains near the city of Kadesh. Rameses, famously, fell into a Hittite trap and was nearly captured, saved only by his personal valor and the timely arrival of reinforcements. The Egyptians portrayed the battle as a glorious victory for their pharaoh. You can see it carved in magnificent reliefs on the walls of temples like Abu Simbel and Karnak, with Rameses single-handedly smiting his foes. But the Hittite records, discovered in the ruins of Hattusa, tell a different story. They paint a picture of a strategic Hittite success, where they checked the Egyptian advance and maintained control of the disputed territory. What's truly revolutionary, though, is what happened next. After years of stalemate, both superpowers realized they had more to gain from peace than from endless war. So they negotiated. The result was the Treaty of Kadesh, the world's first known international peace treaty. A copy of this remarkable document, inscribed on a silver tablet, was exchanged between the two kings. A clay tablet version was found in the Hittite archives, and its text is even inscribed at the United Nations headquarters in New York today as a symbol of early diplomacy. The treaty established borders, created a defensive alliance, and was sealed by a royal marriage. Rameses II later married a Hittite princess. It was a landmark achievement that brought stability to the region for decades. For nearly a century after Kadesh, the Hittite Empire thrived. Their influence was immense. But then, silence. Around 1200 BC, this mighty civilization collapsed and it collapsed fast. Hattusa, the magnificent capital, was violently destroyed and abandoned. Other Hittite cities met a similar fate. Within a generation, their writing system was forgotten, their language fell silent, and their very name was erased from the pages of history. For thousands of years, the Hittites were little more than a whisper, a mysterious people mentioned only a few times in the Old Testament. It was as if a superpower had been wiped off the map. So, what happened? This is one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. There's no single simple answer, but rather a perfect storm of catastrophic events. One of the leading theories points to a mysterious group of raiders known only as the Sea Peoples. Egyptian records describe a wave of chaotic migrations and invasions that swept across the eastern Mediterranean around this time, toppling kingdoms and leaving a trail of destruction. The Hittite Empire, already weakened, would have been a prime target, but the Sea Peoples were likely not the only cause. Climate change also appears to have played a devastating role. Scientific analysis of ancient tree rings and sediment cores from the region points to a prolonged and severe drought that struck Anatolia right around the time of the collapse. This megadrought would have led to widespread crop failures, famine, and economic chaos. An empire can't function when its people are starving. The intricate system of trade and tribute that held the Hittite state together would have shattered. Internal strife probably made things even worse. The Hittite kingdom had a history of succession crises and civil wars. It's likely that as resources became scarce and external threats mounted, the empire began to fracture from within. Provincial governors may have broken away, and rival claimants to the throne could have torn the kingdom apart in a desperate struggle for power. It was a domino effect. Climate change caused famine, which caused internal instability, which left the empire fatally vulnerable to outside invasion. The mighty Hittite state, a giant with feet of clay, simply crumbled under the combined pressure. For millennia, the Hittites remained a lost empire. Their story was buried, their achievements forgotten. It wasn't until the late 19th and early 20th centuries that archaeologists, drawn to the enigmatic ruins of Hattusa, began to piece the puzzle back together. The breakthrough came with the discovery of thousands of clay tablets in the royal archives. But they were written in a strange cuneiform script that no one could read. It took years of painstaking work before a Czech scholar named Bedřich Rosner finally deciphered the language in 1917, famously declaring, "I have found the solution." He proved that the Hittite language was a member of the Indo-European family, making it a distant relative of English, Latin, and Sanskrit. Suddenly, a lost civilization began to speak again. The tablets revealed their history, their laws, their religion, their fears, and their triumphs. We learned the names of their kings, like the great conqueror Suppiluliuma I and the diplomat Katuvili III. We read their myths, their letters, and even their diplomatic correspondence with the pharaohs of Egypt. The Hittites were no longer a footnote. They were restored to their rightful place as one of the great powers of the Bronze Age. The legacy of the Hittites is all around us, even if we don't realize it. Their pioneering work with iron helped usher in the Iron Age, a technological revolution that reshaped the world. Their legal and diplomatic innovations, like the Treaty of Kadesh, set precedents that echo in international relations to this day. And the story of their dramatic collapse serves as a powerful reminder that no empire, no matter how powerful, is permanent. It shows us how fragile civilization can be in the face of climate change, resource scarcity, and political turmoil, lessons that are just as relevant today as they were 3,200 years ago. The silent stones of Hattusa still stand guard over a vanished kingdom, whispering tales of power, war, and mystery to those who are willing to listen. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the past. What do you think was the main reason for the Hittites' collapse? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this exploration of lost civilizations, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.